low-cost third-party data center services. And top of mind is the public cloud. Now, this chart shows that if you look at all data center global traffic, it's got a CAGR to 2017 of about 25%. The cloud data center traffic growth is higher than that, it's 35%. And that's in the green. You can see that if you compare that growth trajectory to the 12% for on-premise enterprise data center growth, public cloud is here to stay. We're just at the very beginning of public cloud services. There are lots of ways to look at public cloud and public cloud adoption. Another way is by 2017, over 2/3 of all data center traffic will be based in the cloud. Now, you may not have any application or any workloads whatsoever in the public cloud today, but that can change really quickly. All it really takes is for your CEO to read about the cloud in Forbes magazine article and saying, you know what, this cloud can save us money. And what we're hearing from companies whose CEOs have asked that question is that as they begin their journey to the public cloud, the definition of what's mission critical, what stays on premise, begins to change as that cost analysis is done about data center capacity on premise versus off premise. What the public cloud has done for all data centers is it's really increased the scrutiny of operational efficiency of data centers and importantly the cost efficiency of data centers. And that's something that applies, if it doesn't apply to your data center, your company today, it's just a matter of time. Now, the days of the data center being a cost, money pit, a black box, are numbered. To get a view of the efficiency of a data center, both from its operations and its cost point of view, companies are beginning to use software to do that. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So eBay's a really good example of a company that's using a DSO approach. It has its digital service efficiency dashboard, and it likes to describe that as the Rubik's Cube of efficiency. And to solve the puzzle, you need to look at all 4 sides simultaneously. And that's what's the revenue of a data center service, what's the cost of a data center service, what's the environmental impact, and what's the performance. And in taking this approach, eBay, for example, last year committed to increasing its number of transactions per kilowatt hour by 10%. And that was something that was able to achieve. An example of DSIM, giving cost and operational transparency. Facebook's a good example. So it's implemented DSIM and it has a dashboard that updates in real time online for a couple of its data centers. It shows PUE and WUE, water usage effectiveness. Interesting thing about Facebook's DSIM program, a lot of interesting things about it, but most interesting to me is that it's open sourcing these dashboards. Facebook's now beginning a DSO journey. It's going to write its own DSO software, because it's a hyperscaler that can do that. And its DSO software will also be part of the Open Compute project. And that is going to spread out the practice of DSO by having that open source available to everybody. Now these are hyperscale examples. Hyperscales, they're very different than enterprise data centers. But even for the big hyperscales, deploying data center management software has required significant organizational and operational change. That's true for anyone deploying DSIM and especially DSO. And with change, as is often the case, there comes pain and conflict. This is a bit of a silly picture, but as a metaphor for deploying data center management software, the only real inaccuracy about this picture is that you can't buy a beer in a data center. The tussle for most data centers is going to be between the facilities and the IT department. You can't successfully deploy this software, be it DSIM and especially not DSO, if those 2 departments aren't working together cooperatively, sharing data, having similar incentives, the same metrics. And it's a challenge because let's face it, we all know that that divide between facilities and IT is still prevalent. It's slowly changing, but even in data centers where they think there is no divide, when they start deploying this software, they find that the story is quite different. And if you're tools that it may be paid for by the IT department, and it often is, but they're tools that's used by the facilities operations team. DSO, on the other hand, are primarily tools that are used by the finance department and the IT department. Your CIO, your CFO, wants that cost transparency of your on-premise operations, your on-premise data centers. They're going to ask for DSO. They're going to want to start deploying DSO. DSO is inclusive of DC. So if you're a facilities manager, your IT department, your CFO is going to start this DSO deployment journey. The decision about when you deploy DSIM may no longer be your own. And that's not a position that's not an enviable position. Okay, so I just wanted to address that up front. Why should you care about this? So let's get into, well, what is this software? What does it do? So DSIM, and I apologize if this is repetitive for people who've seen this before. DSIM monitors power use, status and availability, environmental status, cooling, infrastructure, physical IT resources, the storage, the servers, the networking, the cabling, and their status. It manages these physical infrastructure assets and capacity, and it manages energy and cooling availability. It optimizes the environmental conditions of data centers, the use of space, power and cooling, energy efficiency, and equipment availability. Data center infrastructure management. It optimizes, monitors, and manages the infrastructure. DSO extends that. Using that data, it monitors the virtual and the physical assets together. The energy supply and demand. Not just the supply, but also the demand in the asset. It's end-to-end service management. It maps both physical and virtual resources, energy supply and demand, and importantly, cost and resource use. It optimizes all of the resources, virtual and physical, the energy usage, not just the energy supply, but the usage, and the allocation of work in and beyond the data center, between data centers. It enables, importantly, this cost or business view of data center services. It enables predictive and cost-based modeling of those data center services. And eventually, we believe it will enable real-time costing and pricing of data center services. Another way to think about it, DSO can extend DSIM to left of the PUE decimal. It's the facilities and the IT together. It also balances the demand from IT with the supply of the facility resources. It enables data center business planning, not just capacity planning of the data center resources, but business planning of the entire data center. And eventually, it'll enable a cost per compute, or something like that. DSIM manages and optimizes the critical infrastructure. Let's talk about the products. I'm only going to talk about the product categories. If you're interested in suppliers and what they offer and what have you, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. Please come and see me afterwards. But let's be clear about what DSIM products are. DSIM products are data center monitoring, that's power and environmental monitoring, and it's data center capacity planning, oftentimes with change and configuration management.